Yo, what's good, everybody? Jay Wood is back at it with another video. I just wanted to say this right now. Thank you all so much for the support on all the last videos that I've done. It is truly a blessing, and I just want to say thank you guys so much. And without further ado, I guess, why not? Let's just go ahead and get into it. So, we start our story off, well, what we left off from, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was them getting back from the class and about to find out their internships. And Deku finds out that he actually had none. None at all. So with this, he was like, well, dang. Because, I mean, you guys also have to think. He did draw with a person who had, like, basically just a talk quirk, and that could mind control him. And heroes were like, yeah, enough. If he also didn't do that great on the race, in a lot of people's opinion, in the cavalry battle, he kind of just did what anybody would have done, honestly. What everybody should have done. Like the smart thing, but everybody didn't see it that way. They were like, he should have fought for the 10 million point headband. Yeah. So people were just like, I mean, yeah, you got promised, but like nobody really wants to intern with him. And Deku's like, alright, that's fine. So he actually goes and talks to All Might. Yeah, you guys probably thought I was talking about how I was gonna make him go intern with Aizawa. I was thinking about it for a while, but you'll hear for a second. So he goes and talks to All Might and it's like, hey, All Might, I just wanted to say, I thought, I think it's really cool that you can control your, power so well. I want, help with that, and I was wondering if I could intern with you. And this is going to be, a month-long thing. You guys will see. I'm going to do, a month-long internship instead of just a week, and it's not really going to mess with anything. So All Might's like, for sure, kid, but I want you to know I'm going to be super busy, so if you'd rather, I have another person that I think could help you out a lot better with your problems. So Deku's like, really, who? And he's like, it's my teacher, Gran Torino. And he just starts cowering in fear after saying the name like he said Voldemort's name in Harry Potter. I've never seen Harry Potter or Star Wars, just letting y'all know. I will do what if you guys want me to, but I mean, I've never seen them. So, anyway, so Deku's like, oh, that's so cool. And All Might's like, yeah, if you want to train with him, I can call him right now. And Deku's like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm a pretty tough guy. How hard could it really be? And All Might's like, kid, if you don't want to do it, it is okay. I will understand. And Deku's just like, nah, I'm good. And All Might's like, are you sure? And Deku's like, yes, I am sure. I am 100% sure. He's probably not that scary. If he trained you, and All Might's like, what do you mean? I can be scary. And Deku just pats him on the shoulder. Sure you can, buddy. Sure you can. And Deku walks off and is like, thanks, with a little peace sign. And he walks off, and All Might calls Gran Torino and said, look, I have a promising kid, and be sure to whip him into shape. He thinks that I'm not scary, and Gran Torino's like, you're not. And All Might's like, dang, have I lost my edge? Am I really, not scary? Not at all? And anyway, so we have a little bit of a time skip, and he's on the bus, or the train towards Gran Torino's place. And he just has his, the Killua scene, where he's just, he has his hand on the window, and he's just, looking out it. So, it's like the Killua scene from Hunter x Hunter, how he's like, pretty cool. And he's actually having a flashback, he's having memories. And it's of two major things. The first one is going to be his hero name. You guys were probably forgetting about that, but I actually chose the hero name of Liebe, which, if you guys know Black Clover, it is Asta's devil in his Grimoire. That's the name of the devil. But I looked it up, and it's actually a German word for love, I'm pretty sure. You can fact check me on that and leave it in the comments. That would be greatly appreciated. But I just thought it would be a cool idea. So it's the anti-quirk hero, Liebe. I think that's how you pronounce it. So anyways, Deku, he just keeps having reminiscence, and he actually starts thinking about the sports festival. He was like, what was that form that I was in? I want to be able to do that. That was a really cool thing. I want to be able to control that. It felt so cool. And he's just thinking about it, and he feels he's thinking about it, but his head just starts steaming and smoking, and he's like, oh, I can't think about it. And Gran Torino actually watched the sports festival, and he was like, interesting. So he controlled, Gran Torino, I'm just gonna say, is super smart. And we'll get that in a minute. So Deku, he goes to Gran Torino's place and he knocks on the door and it opens and he's like, whoa, what? I thought this dude was a pro hero. He can't just be leaving his door unlocked. He walks in and he senses the key of somebody on the floor. He runs around the corner and sees that it's Gran Torino covered in ketchup. And he's like, oh, okay, you can get up now. And Gran Torino's like, it was really that easy. And he uses jet quirk and goes to like punch Izuku, but he just sidesteps it, sending Gran Torino like flying past him. And Gran Torino uses his jet quirk and comes back, hitting Deku in the back, like fully hitting him in the back. And Deku's like, spitting out like just spit. And he's like, ow, that hurt. And Gran Torino's like, you dodged me once. I'm actually kind of surprised. But you gotta be aware that not all villains are going to fight fair, and they're not always going to attack from your front. So you have to be able to sense from your back as well. And Deku's like, whoa, that's actually a great point. I've been focusing like my like sense of ki in one direction. I need to be able to do this in like all around. So he focuses really hard, and Deku's like, all right, try again, any direction. And he closes his eyes and he just starts weaving like Ultra Instinct style. And Gran Torino's just flying past and flying past and flying past. And this goes on for a minute. And then Gran Torino says something, you're not that bad, kid. And Deku looks up and is like, really? And foot's coming into his face. And he's just like, whoa. And he just has like a nosebleed. And Gran Torino's like, ooh, I hit you too hard. And not really, he doesn't really care. So he gives Deku a napkin and is like, you good, kid? And Deku's like, yeah, sorry, I just lost focus. And he's like, no, I get it. Not really. Just be better. Just get rid of the skill issue. And Deku's like, oh, okay. Wow. I'm starting to see why All Might was scared of you. And Deku, he just trains with him for like 2 weeks. And the whole scene of like the fish cookie thing happens. And Deku's like, whoa, that's actually pretty like interesting. And it's like, so I just need to learn how to like not just cook the like inside, or I don't want to just cook the outside, I want to cook the middle too. So he's like, I can feel the key of my anti-quirk stuff. So he pulls out the Demon Dweller sword, putting it horizontally, and he puts his other hand on it, and he can feel the key coursing through his arms, to his other arm, up to his head, down to his legs, and through his abs. And he's like, whoa, this feels so cool. And all of a sudden, we just see Deku's, like, his canine tooth, I think that is, I don't know, it just grows. And then he gets a horn on his head, and half of his face, or, like, his, like, eye portion goes black. Or, like, he has that little shriek. And then he grows the black wing, and he's like, whoa, this is so cool. And he's like, I feel so much stronger. Like, my arms feel so much lighter. And Gran Torino looks up at him and was like, not bad, kid. You pick up things really fast. Come on, let's go on patrol. And Deku's like, really? And Gran Torino's like, yeah, sure. But in order to do that, you have to be able to land a hit on me. And Deku's like, oh, easy, no problem. And he goes to swing, like, he goes to, like, punch, like, Gran Torino in his demon form, like, putting the sword in his other hand, like, in his left hand, and he goes to punch Gran Torino, who jumps up, jumps back, and hits him in the back of the head, and it's like, ow. I probably could have worded that a lot better, but anyway, so Gran Torino just starts jumping around the room, and Deku's like, so I need to focus on my ki and my demon form. And Gran Torino's like, come on, kid, if you can learn fast, you better be able to land a hit. And just as Gran Torino is saying this, Deku appears in front of his face, about, it's just inches away from his face. And Gran Torino, using his jet quirk, dodges out of the way. I was like, whoa, that was close. And this happens, like, 3 or 4 times over the course of, like, the next, like 2 hours of this. And Deku's panting, and he like, drops unconscious. Losing his demon form, his sword falling into his grimoire, and Gran Torino's like, not bad, kid. And the next day, that was 2 weeks of, like, training and Deku finding out his demon form and, like, fully controlling it. And so Gran Torino the next day is like, come on, kid, let's go to Hosu. I have a few heroes that I feel like we can go and do some patrolling with, because I don't get out too much. And Deku was like, oh, okay, sure. So they are on the train going to Hosu. And just like in the original, the Nomu flies into the train and it's like, wah! And Gran Torino just jumps off and starts fighting, and Deku's like, wait, here, I'll help. And Gran Torino's like, no, you stay here. And Deku obviously doesn't listen. He activates his demon form and is like, whoa, this is a little bit heavier, so I need to make sure that, like, I know my limit on this. And just in that moment, he realized that he can only do this twice per day. And he just floats up in the air and is like, well, that's pretty cool. And he just starts flying above the city, and he sees it in chaos. And he's like, I really need to go help. And he hears a familiar scream. And he goes off and flies towards it, and he's like, what? Wait, what's wrong? And he sees Ida about to get stabbed by Stain. So he pulls out his demon, not pulls out, but he uses his Demon Dweller sword and lands a massive blow on Stain's left arm, not realizing it was Stain, right? And Stain jumps away from this and is like, whoa, what? And Deku lands in front of Ida with his demon form and is like, I will not let you hurt my friend. And then he sees it and he's like, oh, what's up? He puts his sword back in his grimoire and puts it up, losing his demon form, and he's like, oh, yo, what up, bro? And Stain's like, yo, Izuku, is that you? And they just go, and they just swing their arms up like they're about to punch each other, and Ida's like, what are you doing? Why is he not? And all of a sudden their fists go into full hands, and they just have the boom. They have the crispiest dap. People across Hosu heard it, and they were like, "Oh, who just had that nasty dap?" And after this, Deku's like, "Yo, it's been a minute, bro. How you been?" And he's like, same old, just going around hunting down fake villains, the basics." And Deku's like, "Yeah, you gotta stop doing that, dude. You're number one radar." And Stain's like, "Oh, really? I bet. That just means I'll bring out All Might soon, so I can give him my gratitude, and he's the one I want to rest me, or you, of course, but I know you're not going to." And Deku's like, "Yeah, you right. I can't get my boy. I can't snitch on my boy." And he's just like, "Wait, what?" And Deku just looks back at Nita, and he's like, and then looks back up at Satan and is like, "Yo, can you cancel those two?" And he's like, "No, those two are fake villains. I'm about to murk them." And Deku's like, "Yeah, nah, I can't let you do that." And Stain's like, "What? Why?" And he's like, "Oh, Ida, he's the blue-haired kid. He's part of my class. He's actually a really good guy. He's just a little bit mad because you did kill his brother. Come on now." And Stain's like, "Oh, yeah, you right. He's still coming for vengeance, though." And Deku's like, "Yeah, but how do you know he wasn't here for native?" And he looks back at Ida, giving him a small wink without Stain realizing. And Ida's like, "Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the only reason I came. Revenge was just another, side aspect of it." Making the lie sound so believable that Stain is like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, "What about Native, though? Why should I not kill him?" And Deku's just like, I don't really know, but he doesn't give me the vibes that he's I'm sensing his ki, and it doesn't give the vibe of a bad hero." And Stain's like, "Yeah, I noticed that the second I started, fighting him, and I was just like, yeah." But, I guess it just got over my head, because, and Stain's like, "Yeah, this weird, dude with blue, light blue hair and super chapped lips, teleported me into his base and was like, 'I want you to help me. I need you to help me kill some brats.'" And Stain was like, "First of all, you need to get some chapstick, and you need a mint. Your breath is stanky." And Deku just starts laughing, and he's like, "Yeah, you right about that." And Stain's like, "Wait, you know who he is?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, he tried attacking me. I whooped him." Obviously lying. And Stain's like, "Oh yeah, you could obviously have taken him. He is not that strong." And Deku's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, he's sent a Nomu after me, and I got mollywopped and All Might saved me." And he's like, and Stain's just like, "What did I tell you about not going after strong opponents?" And Deku's like, "I know, but it's just come on, I had to at least experiment." And Stain was like, "Yeah, I feel that. But, just, if you're ever against a, super strong opponent that you can't keep up with, don't try and fight him. He will mollywop you, and he's not going to be as gracious as I am." And Deku's just like, "Yeah, I guess you're right." So what he does is, he daps up Stain, and Stain's just like, I'm gonna go, before police get here." And Deku's like, "I bet." And they dab each other up, doing, a really cool handshake. And Ida's just like, "How do you know him?" And he stands up, and Native stands up and is like, "Oh, whoa." And they both stand up, and they're just like, "So, what was that?" And Deku's like, "Oh, so long story short, when I was a little bit younger, or not that long ago, whenever I first figured out my quirk, and I was just figuring stuff out, I actually ran into Stain in the woods, and he was pretty chill. He just wanted some food." He had this weird habit of getting really shirtless though and fighting random animals. It was a little bit weird. I kind of broke him out of it, but he still does it. It's kind of funny. Like to be fair, and whenever we were going and like training, he always told me stories about how he was fighting like these like major villains. I mean these major heroes, and was like, yeah, no, I ended up being shirtless after. And Deku's like, of course you were. And he was like, it wasn't after, it was during. And he was like, yeah. And he was just like, that's also the reason why I can do this. And just like, and what he does is he throws his sword up in the air. Like he pulls his sword out, and then it just stabs into a Nomu's like neck, piercing his brain, and it just falls down to the floor. And he's like, yeah, I can just sense the key of things. It's not that simple. It's kind of like a danger sense thing, but I can just tell what you're gonna do before you do it. It's kind of like a foresight thing as well. And he just like, whoa, what? And he's like, okay, so I'm gonna tell you this now. Like people with physical quirks is a little bit harder for them to master, since mine is, summoning. It doesn't really affect me. And he's just like, and he was like, oh, that makes sense. Deku was just lying. He just didn't feel like explaining and having to teach someone. So instead, what Deku was like, all right, let's get you two to a hospital. And I guess this Nomu's like dead now. So I'm just gonna like put him in handcuffs, and he just picks him up, like throwing him over his shoulder with ease. And and Ida and Native are like, how are you that strong? Like, and he's like, oh yeah, catch this. And Ida catches his like demon destroyer sword, and he just immediately falls to the ground. And he's like, whoa, how heavy is this? And he's like, about like 200 pounds, some slight, So he picks it back up, putting it in his grimoire, and he's like, you swing that around like it's a dagger. And Ida's like, and that's what Ida says, and Deku's like, yeah, it's not that bad. Like, he's just like, you swing it around like it's a regular sword and not like a great sword. And he's like, yeah, that's some light work, light work, no reaction, the basics. And Ida's just like, okay. So they all walk off. He gets Native and Ida to the hospital, and no one has questions or anything. So Deku meets back up after helping everybody out with the Nomus, because he knows like they're not real things. Like they can be hurt. And Endeavor, hearing this, is like, oh really? And he just grabs him and just and like does like double the amount of flames he does in the original. And it's like Deku's just like, dang, I said they weren't alive, doesn't mean you gotta be brutal. And Endeavor's like, shut up, kid. And Deku just goes his own way, finding Gran Torino. Is like, yo, so you trying to like go back and train, or like go back to your town and patrol? And Gran Torino's like, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it might be more fun there, because no one's gonna attack this place now that it's super heavily guarded. And Deku's like, yeah, I know. So they both go back, and for the next 2 weeks they just patrol, and they stop a few basic muggers here and there, at the end of the day they just go back to Gran Torino's house and enjoy some cake. Or not cake, but those little like pastry things. And they just sit down and just eat a few, and they're just talking about stuff. And he actually talks about how he ran into the hero killer, and Gran Torino's like, you stopped him, right? And Izuku's just like, sure, we'll say that. And he's like, you let him go, didn't you? And Deku's like, yeah, I mean, he's the one that trained me. I can't catch my boy like that. Like, I can't catch my boy lacking. And Deku has a flashback, and he like is basically retelling the whole story. And apparently, like, without Ida and Native like realizing it, like whenever they were looking at each other, Deku popped Sane's like dislocated shoulder back into place, so he didn't have to go to a hospital. And so it was like, appreciate you, gang. And Deku was like, of course. Like, I'm not trying to leave you out there. Like, I know your biz. And sorry if I'm using too much lingo, but like, I don't know. I just feel like being a little bit more casual with this, because they're boys, And so anyways, Deku goes back to UA, and he's just talking to All Might. He's like, yeah, Gran Torino is not that scary. And All Might's like, wait, what? He did push you, right? And Deku's like, yeah, look at this. And he was like, actually, no, I'm going to save that, just in case we have hero training. And All Might's like, okay, young Midoriya. Or no, Deku wouldn't know his last name. So we're just going to say, okay, young Izuku. And because he wouldn't know that his mother is Midoriya. Like, his surname would be Midoriya. So, Instead, um, and they would just have another like 2 weeks of basic hero training every day and basic classes, and Izuku would be like, and Izuku would obviously do his own training and be doing a lot of work, and eventually like he gets like a huge amount of money for helping out this like major bank heist. They give him like a bunch of money, and he tells the motel owner, he's like, yo, I'm gonna go get like an actual apartment, especially because, actually no, he stays at the motel, so scratch that last part. He stays in the motel because, you know, dorms. So he saves all that money, he puts into a separate bank account, and he just keeps working. And the 2 weeks fly by in an instant, it feels like, you know, wink wink. Like flat time skip the 2 weeks, and they're actually told about finals and what they're going to be doing. So they're told that they're going to have a physical portion and a normal portion. And Mina just starts talking to the class, and she's like, "Yeah, I have a friend who's actually a third year, and she said that they were just regular robots, and I'm sorry, but after you guys got attacked at the USJ, you guys think you're gonna be going against robots? Like, how is that really gonna challenge you guys?" So Deku's just like, I don't know, I wouldn't trust that, so just be prepared for the worst. And he tells that to everyone, and everyone's like, yeah, you're right. And Mina's like, I don't know, I'm still gonna hold out hope for those robots. And he's like, so am I, but just be prepared that we might not go against robots. And Mina's like, ah, dang it. And so everybody just starts studying up. And after school, Deku actually goes out to the gate, and he sees Uraraka and Mirko talking again. He's like, oh, yo, I was actually meaning to ask y'all, because y'all walked out, like, fairly early. Like, over the next, like, week, you guys trying to come over to my place and hang out and just, like, study? And Mirko is like, yeah, sure. And, well, actually, no. They both start, like, furiously blushing, like, going to his place? Like they just start blushing like crazy, and Mirko's like, how dare you suggest something like that? And Deku's like, I mean, if you would rather go to your place, we can. I mean, I guess, yeah, you guys are right. I do kind of just live nowhere. and they're like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, no, I just live in, and he says the name of the motel, and they're both like, you live there? Why? And he's like, you guys do realize it would take me like a week to get home and a week to get back every single like trip. And they're like, oh. And Momo walking by hears this, and he's like, and she's just like, you know, we have like a guest house, right? Like you can just pull up and stay there. And Uraraka and Mirko get jealous, like thinking that Deku's gonna stay at the house of a regular person or like another person. And Deku, being a nice guy, he's like, no, I possibly couldn't. Like, I wouldn't want to be a burden. Momo's like, yeah, no, it's no issue. And so that's what he does. He actually moves out of the motel, and he goes to Momo's place. And he lives in their guest house, and he meets her parents and everything. And we're gonna say Momo finds him attractive, but it's gonna be more of like it's gonna be just like more of a like friendship, you know, just a basic old friendship. And so yeah, that goes on, and Mirko and Uraraka come over, and they study with Momo every single day, with Izuku, of course. And with that all being said, Deku, like, he passes the exam, like the week goes by like that, and they're all studying together. Mirko and Uraraka just like start blushing like crazy every single time they look at Izuku or he comes up with an answer. And so he's just like, are y'all like sick or something? And he's just like, whatever, I'm gonna forget about it. So what he does, like what happens next is that we actually time skip to the finals exams, and Deku's like he's doing his exams, and he's like, oh wow, this is actually kind of easy. And I'm not gonna say he passes with flying colors, but he gets let's say he gets like an A on the dot. We're just gonna say that. And so after this, it would be like a little bit like they tell like the class, like, okay, this is what you're gonna be doing. You guys have no time to prepare. Just letting you guys know. And it's the day of, and they're just like, okay, so these are gonna be the teams. It's going to be Tokoyami and Deku versus Ectoplasm, and then it's gonna be Asui and Shoji versus Snipe. It's gonna be Bakugo and Mirko versus All Might, Uraraka and Aoyama versus 13, and then all the regular teams from the original. The reason why I did it this way is because Tokuyami and Deku are like best friends, and I didn't want to. I feel like that would be an interesting fight, going against Ectoplasm having clones, and Deku who has an anti-quirk sword, and then originally in the original it was Tokuyami and Asui, but I'm just swapping Asui and Deku and well. So I just put Asui with Shoji and going against Snipe, and then I put Mirko with Bakugo to go against All Might. And if you guys have a problem with these teams, then you guys can leave the suggestions down below. Plus, I just feel like these teams work out pretty well. So we're gonna be focusing on mostly the Bakugo, Mirko, Uraraka, Aoyama, and Ectoplasm and Tokuyami Deku. So we're just gonna immediately jump into these fights. Sorry guys, I wanted to get a drink of water and just refresh myself. So if you guys hear a little cut right there, then yeah. So we're going to start off with Bakugo and Mirko versus All Might. So what happens in this case is, so Bakugo and Mirko are both like, Mirko's like, I gotta impress Izuku, like I want to impress him, like I gotta be able to beat All Might. And Bakugo's like, I want to be All Might myself, like popping like crackling explosions in his hands, and they both have this like mutual agreement that like they want to run the ones with All Might. And what happens in this is gonna be pretty much just as you expect. Like Bakugo like boo 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 AP. Wait no, it's like he immediately starts off the like fight like boom 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 boom. Howitzer impact. Like about to smash it straight into All Might's face. And like All Might obviously did the whole like clearing a major pathway just right in the middle of the two, and they're both like, how is he? Like I knew All Might was strong, but clearing a city, and Bakugo's just like, I can't worry about that, and he howitzer impact, and All Might's just like, ha, that's cute, and he sidesteps it, and he grabs Bakugo and uses the railing and wraps it around him, and immobilizes him, completely keeping him from being able to move. And Mirko jumps in, landing a massive kick to the back of All Might's head, and like sending him face first into the ground. And Mirko's like, I did it. And All Might looks up with his smile, and with his left arm just going, sending Mirko straight up in the air, knocking her out. And as she's falling, he just catches her, holding her entire weight, and puts capture tape around her. So, in the end, it was a really fast match. I don't really know what y'all were expecting from that. Mirko landed a hit, which is kind of impressive, like it for a young Mirko. And she's like, I don't think I impressed him like at all. And the both of them go back up, and Deku, it just like goes up to Mirko. It's like, whoa, that was such a powerful kick. Like, you're gonna have to teach me how to kick that hard one day. And Mirko just starts blushing. He's like, of course I am. I'm better than you. And then she's just like, he said something about me. And Uraraka gets like a little bit jealous of this. And next up is gonna be Uraraka and Aoyama, which is gonna go exactly like it does in canon, because that was the canon team. I don't exactly know who comes out on top. I'm pretty sure Uraraka would come out on top though, because she can make herself like, no. I think Aoyama, I think 13 actually won. So we're gonna say that happened, and Deku goes up to Uraraka and was like, good job, you tried your best. And she blushes, Mirko gets jealous, the basics. So now we get the fight of Asui and Shoji versus Snipe. This one is going to be a little bit longer, of course. So it's going to be a pretty good fight in my opinion. So what happens is, like, the fight starts out with Snipe being like, no matter where you go, I'll always be able to find you. And what happens is, like, he's like, wait, where are y'all? And just like all of a sudden, Asui like wraps him up with her tongue. Is like, now Shoji. And Shoji just comes in with 3 massive hands, go boom, 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 landing it on Snipe's head back to back to back, knocking him out instantly. Like, I feel like, wait, is this, hold on, actually. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I was thinking about the right person. So I was, by the way. You guys probably know that though. So that was the fight. Again, kind of short. Sorry. I just wanted to save all my voice, all my. Just take a deep breath, and now we get Tokoyami and Deku versus Ectoplasm. And the fight starts out. It's completely silent, and Ectoplasm makes he starts out the fight creating not millions, but he creates a bunch of clones. And Deku's like, Tokoyami, you thinking what I'm thinking? And they're both just like, absolutely. They dap each other up, and Deku pulls out his Demon Dweller sword, going into demon form, and while he's doing this, taking his time to do it, Tokoyami clears out like a good I want to say 5 or 6 clones before he's out of stamina, and Deku's like, thank you, and he goes into his demon form, and he's just like, I just want you to know I can sense your ki, and he finds out the Ectoplasm clone, but it goes after quirks like in the original how it goes after mana. So it goes after all of his clones before it goes after Ectoplasm. So he just keeps creating more and more and more. And Deku's just like, ugh, dang it. So he's like, Tokoyami, it's him. And he points out the original one, and Tokoyami's about to land a massive blow. And Ectoplasm just makes a clone in front of his face, blocking it. And Deku's like, now I got you. And he goes after the clone in front of Ectoplasm. And he exits demon form and is like, crap, this hurts. And he says, anti-quirk, tornado, like black tornado, and he just starts spinning around furiously, and he lands a massive blow on Ectoplasm's head, sending Ectoplasm down, and he comes up with the force of 3 clones, hitting Izuku, sending him flying into a wall, and Izuku's like, crap. But he's not knocked out. He stands up. I'm not giving up yet. And he just runs at Ectoplasm with his Demon Dweller sword. Boom, boom, boom. Hitting him. Oh god. We bring the boom. That's what we. Sorry. But he hits Ectoplasm on the shoulder, dislocating one. And you can tell, now you can tell who's not the clone. And Tokoyami, just using Dark Shadow, sneaks up behind him, hitting him on the back, sending Ectoplasm up in the air. And Deku just lands a devious hit back on Ectoplasm, sending him back down. And Tokoyami hits him with another one. And then he just knocks out. Kind of in the scene similar to the scene where Patry gets sent flying, and Asta hits him down because he has no mana, so nobody senses him. He hits him down into Yami's slash. That's a scene kind of reminiscent to it. So what happens after this is actually going to be all of the winners are announced, blah 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 blah. So then we have we'll say a week for them to get ready for the thing, and Deku goes up to Nezu and gets him to sign it again, and they have another chess match, and this time it's actually pretty close as well. Nezu wins, of course, knowing him, and Deku's like, dang it, I almost had you again. And Nezu's like, you impressed me, Izuku. And he's like, thank you. And he gets his permission slip signed, of course. And so on the bus going to the force training camp, Deku, he's like, man, these week has worn me out. So on the bus, he just falls asleep, and he ends up leaning over, and we see that he's actually leaning on Mirko's shoulder, sleeping. And Mirko blushes like crazy, pushing him off and get off of me. It's not what you think, with a super red face. And he ends up falling over and landing on Uraraka's shoulder. And it's kind of funny, and she just starts blushing furiously, and she's like, eek. I'm not gonna go high pitched, I just can't. And Mirko gets super jealous of this and smacks him across the face, what are you doing, perv? And Deku just wakes up what? And after this, they just keep riding towards it. And Deku is getting an ominous feeling the second they park next to a cliff. So what he does is he tells Uraraka and Mirko, he's like, yo, stay on the bus. I get a bad feeling about this. And they're like, are you sure? And they're both just like, okay. So they all stay on the bus and they stay kind of hidden. And all of a sudden, they look out the window and see all their classmates are gone, and the bus is moving again. And they're just like, okay, they just stay hidden. And they make it to the training camp about like 5-10 minutes later, and they're just like, whoa, I'm so happy we didn't get thrown off that cliff. And Aizawa hears this and is like, wait, did somebody stay on the bus? And he, like, they're parked, and he goes to the back and he's like, you three, why didn't you go down with your classmates? And Deku's like, well, I just got a bad feeling and I didn't go down. And he's just like, you were supposed to go down so we could make you actually have to work for something, work for your food. And Deku's just like, well, I mean, what are you gonna do now? I mean, we're kind of already here, and I feel like if we went a whole 10-15 minutes without you noticing us, I feel like you kind of just have to give it to us. And Aizawa was just like, I don't get paid enough for this. You're such a problem child. And he walks off the bus, and Deku, Mirko, and Araka follow, and they just sit and wait. And they wait for their classmates to return, and about 2 hours later, they make it back to the camp, and they're just like, wait, Izuku, Mirko, Araka, how did you guys make it here so fast? And why are you guys so like chipper? Like, why aren't y'all like so tired? And they're just like, because we didn't go down, we just stayed on the bus. And they're all like, what? That's not fair. And he's like, well, I mean, y'all also just didn't get back on the bus in the first place. And why did y'all get off? Like, if we're on the edge of a cliff, why did y'all get off? And they're all just like, yeah, I guess you're right. And right as the training is about to, right as all the wild pussycats appear, the episode ends right there. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, night. I just hope you guys have a wonderful week, honestly. It is honestly such a blessing that I can come on this app and be able to just express my passion for anime, and being able to just do this and just get my voice out there so I can just be heard. So with all that being said, I want you guys to know that I'm working on another project, and I feel like you guys might like it. So stay tuned for that. All I'm gonna say is I'm just gonna leave you guys with a little bit of a hint, and I'm gonna just say water. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Remember, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any future ideas for a what if, just leave them down below. Do all the YouTube stuff. And with that being said, have a wonderful day and peace out.